So good evening, sir, all of you. Today our our topic is electrical hazards, wherein that 2.10.1 and 2.10.2. Today we will discuss about the 2.10.1, wherein hazards of electrical energy, safe limits of amperages, voltages, safe distance from lines, capacity and protection of conductors, joints and connections, means of cutting off power load and short circuit protection, no load protection, earth fault protection, earth insulation and continuity tests, earthing standards, protection against the surges and the voltage fluctuations. Today we will discuss about the 2.10.1 electrical hazards with respect to these topics. The electrical hazards can be happened in due to the various reasons of the we will be discussing now. The primary hazard of electrical energy is electric shock, which can occur when a person comes into contact with a live electrical conductor, and severity of the shocks depends on the factors like voltage, current. That means high voltage and high current will be having high risk is there, and the path of the current takes through a body. Generally, a safe voltage limit is considered to be around 50 volts alternating current, while a safe distance from power lines is typically at least 10 feet, with higher voltage lines requiring even greater distances. These are the very important at glance we are telling them. Where the minimum voltage, generally a safe voltage limit considered to be around 50 volts alternating current. Well, a safe distance power lines typically at least 10 feet or higher is very advantage or very suggestible to go for. These are the some schematic representation how the electrical will flow is there when the shocks will be coming to the person. If the earthing is not proper, definitely the employee who is in earthing nearby, he will be getting affected. That's everybody knows about it. But we have to be very careful. In coming slides, we will discussing many factors also. Key points about the electrical hazards. What are the key points electrical hazards is? You know that voltage and current. Voltage means higher voltage means a greater potential for severe shock even at low amperage also. Even at low current, if high voltage is there, definitely the risk effect is more. Current ampere, that means amperes. This is called volts. The actual current flowing through a body determines the severity of shock, with higher ampere causing more damage. Here high voltage is with low current also, it will be affected much. The high current is affected, causing more damage to the not only to the equipment but also the employees nearby working with the nearby equipment. Slave limits are here already we discussed again. Low voltage considered safe is generally below 50 volts alternate current, considered as safe for most situations. And the safe distance from power lines is 10 feet. Already we discussed in the introduction. So 10 feet or above more is also very advisable for the safe limit of high tension lines and power lines. That's what you want to say before going to the details in electrical hazards knows everybody, but we have to discuss in details. Electrical hazards are conditions that can cause injury or damage from electricity. These hazards include electrical shock, burns, fires, and the explosions also. The arc flash is there where the circuit is having some defective things are there.
Sir, any basis for this 10 feet distance?
Yes, sir. Tell me, sir. Kumar Garu.
Any basis for considering this 10 feet distance from
It is
overhead level?
normally So Electrical Act 2003 is there, sir. Wherein is that these two factors are telling about this low voltage and safe distance, sir. Electrical Act 2003. In safety, Factories Act and Factories Rules doesn't say about these two factors, sir. But the Electrical Act 2003, definitely these two are mentioned clearly, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's okay, sir. Like I can understand it is mentioned in that electrical act, but any basis for arriving at this 10 feet distance value?
There's no, I think it is not mentioned anywhere in the basis, sir. But there is the where the static electricity consideration and the electrical shocks and depends upon the high voltage from 50 to high voltage. There may be the electrical units there. They may be different, but it's not really. What the basis? I don't know, sir. Sorry.
Okay, okay, okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Electrical hazards is the electrical hazard are conditions that can cause injury or damage from electricity. These hazards include electrical shock, burns, fires, and explosions. Sudden arc flash is there, a sudden release of high energy electrical that can cause a severe burns if a person is too close to fall on a high voltage circuit. Where the flash is coming due to the high voltage sudden switch off, sudden switch on, or the malfunctions in there in the circuit or in the card. Definitely, sudden release of fire will be taken care, and definitely it will be a severe burns. Consequences will be there where the person very close to that high voltage circuit. The electrical fires also knows the over circuits or faulty wiring can lead to electrical fires. We have to be take sure that all the safety measures to be coming slide will be discussing the what are the measures to be taken care of to avoid all these hazards as well as the some safety precautions also. The electrical hazards continues about this electrocution. That means where a severe electrical shock then result in death also immediately. Where the high voltage is there, definitely immediately person who is exposed to the high voltage some interruption is there in the internet. Sorry. And coming to this, electrocution is very important. And thermal shocks is also there. Where the electricals is there, definitely the heat generation is also there. And too much electricity causes undesired thermal effects like starting a fire, the arcing, fires, explosions, static electricity will be there. Where thermal hazards also will be taken care during the high voltage and other things are there. So they have to prevent these electrical hazards. How to prevent it, actually? You have to prevent from electrical hazard, whatever the able to take measuring steps by the organization or the supervisor or immediate engineer will taken care of. The such what is called the preventive measures like turn off power sources before working with the city. See, turn off power sources before work with electricity. See, before taking any work, electrical work, we have to see that every other what is unconnected switch also will be taken care of. You have to observe the safety precautions and nearby sound, nearby places should be verified. Avoid contact with power lines, ground electrical equipment, but is earthing is there or not, we have to see. Wear protective clothing like leather hand gloves and the other what is called PPE and keep wiring up to date. That means we have to see that where the I've seen so many in, organizations in the welding machine,
साउथ वाले
especially
कैसे
where the
बोल
wire is there. Maybe the more than what is called 50 meters length is also there. From the welding machine where it is source is there, then it is going to the receiving point. But lot of the connections are the attachments are there in the wire, the electrical welding machine. But it doesn't to be a nice to be encouraged such. Immediately we have to tell the contractor we have to continuous wires there. No question of the having any the joints and all will be taken care of. That's why keep wiring up to date. Perform electrical hazard analysis to identify natural productive equipment. These are the some preventive electrical hazards where also it is not mentioned here, but what I am particularly proposed to give some precautionary additional this. The risk assessment, what we have done in the particular electrical works also, that will be taken care before performing the works of the connected to the electrical. The risk assessment, what are the controls we have adopted and what are the proposed controls, what are the existing controls, they are adapted or not, they are working or not. We have to see that during before starting the work, not during the implementation of the work. That's what the risk assessment is also very important for the particular area where we are taking care of. Important safety measures here is the proper PV and DNR circuits, qualified personnel, and warning signs is important. The important apart from the prevent electrical hazards, here some measures will be taken care of. Proper PPE, wear appropriate personal protective equipment, when they wear electrical lines, including insulated gloves, and safety glasses, as well as the protective clothing also. So normally in the electrical equipment where we are purchasing, even some manual also, what is to be taken for the safety measures also. If it is not mentioned anything, we have to add that also in taking care of all with respect to the safety PPE during the electrical works. De-energize also. Always de-energize the electrical circuit before working on them. De-energize means the energy of the electrical should be having the regulated, that is voltage reduction, current, what is called adjustment. Some knobs are there. We have to circuit, we have to provide all these controls. Like for example, voltage regulations and current regulations will be taken care of.
ये क्लास चल रहा है क्या?
As well as
कुछ
the
आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
what we are going to do, we have to reduce during that any suspecting is there in the during the electrical. That is called de-energized circuits, where the circuit itself is provided some de-energization of the units of regulator. When suspicion is there and the electrical experts, immediately they reduce the instead of switch off the total circuit, you have to reduce the work done by that circuit or the regulator of the voltage regulations and all. That's what the de-energized circuit series. The electrical circuit itself is some facilities there to taken care of. Immediate steps is there. You know that every organization having an electrician, at least one person, as per the Factories Act and IPT rules, one person should have the trade electrical qualified examination, definitely. And the electrical energy, like energy person and the energy manager and the energy supervisor also should be taken care of. That is qualified persons, only trained and qualified individuals should work on electrical system. Ensure that even if you allow the contractor to do the electrical works, you have to see that the electrical personnel of the contractor, at least in crew, one of the electrician will have an qualified persons or the qualified certificate which should be necessary. Welder certificate as well as the electrician certificate is necessary for any organization. The warning signs also clearly marks the area with potential electrical hazards. You have to see that the where the electrical, things are there. You know that a transformer is, substations are there. electrical substation, we will be having the dangerous sign that clearly mark areas, the potential electrical source, that is compulsory. Then coming to the electrical science, where some electrical science are here, which I am going to expose for yourself, and the electrical hazards authorized person, depending upon the place we have to add this or display this electrical signs without any forgetting of this warning signs. Electrical access is prohibited because we have to write in this who are the persons enter into it. The person's names also. I've seen some of the organization they have with a management certified letter. The following person can authorize to enter into the transformer room or whatever the subscription and all this thing. This where in that the sign of the sign is also to be displayed. The tag out, lockout is there, and electrical fence where station is there to taken care of. Apart from this, some definitely we have seen some all the organizations having the first aid methods. If any electrical shock is there, I've seen many electrical substations. I've seen the electrical substation rooms or electrical panel rooms. These are things are instructed with the display of all these things with first aid measures. Immediately, definitely organization having the definitely one first aid person is there, trained first aid or qualified first aid person is there. And the first step is if someone is experiencing an electrical work shock, you should first call emergency services and perform the first aid. You see, we are not authorized to anything the first aid done by us, unless otherwise we are qualified with the first aid certificate or not. Call emergency services and then perform first aid with them. Doesn't mean that every employee can do it and all, but we can do the first aid measures before arriving the emergency service and also. So what are the steps is check for safety, turn off the power, click the victim, check the victim and treat burns and keep the victim warm and call the emergency services. Before that, before the arriving, before arriving the emergency services, we should you have to check for safety. First of all, make sure you and the victim are safe and turn off the power if possible, turn off the power source. If you can't use a non-conductive objective to move the person or the power source away from you. See, for example, the person cannot be moved from the workplace immediately. We have to shut off the power. If suppose a power source is not nearby to you through act upon, immediately if you can't use the non-conductive objective, definitely move the person or the power source away from the uh, the electrical circuit or electrical work. Only without having the any facility is there power source to stop. If you are not able to do it, take the person or take the victim away from the where the work is going on. Check the victim also. Check the victim's position, breathing, and pulse. The victim is unresponsive or not breathing and being CPR. CPR will know that you have to go with mouth. Everybody knows about the first aiders also. So treat burns. If anything is there, cover any burn areas with sterile or non-adhesive dressing. Don't use the ice creams and the ointments. Here very precautions is that normally the people who what is called using the sterile or the non-adhesive dressings. See, don't use ice or ice creams or whatever everything and ointments here. If people are putting some bernal and all, not to use actually. Keep the victim, unless otherwise there is a suggestion from the emergency service team. Keep the victim warm. You have to see that the fresh air is to be getting to the victim. Cover the victim with a blanket and a clothing. or to help maintain their body temperature and all these things. Call emergency services before doing all these things. And if we not arrived so quickly, therefore, these are the first aid methods where the co-employees are to be done. Otherwise, we have to wait for the call emergency service, unless otherwise there is no danger to the person. Additional considerations apart from this, don't touch the victim if they are still in contact with the electrical source. See, for example, already the person is having the electrical source is not cutting off from the victim. Don't touch that body. You have to see that immediately go to the power station and close off, or make some walkie-talkie, or make some emergency call to immediately switch off, but not to touch the victim if the electrical source is already there, if the victim is having. Don't move the victim unless there is a immediate danger is there. That means we have to away from the work spot without what is called asking the first aiders, or without asking the emergency step. Don't what is called ask the victim to take care unless there is immediate danger is there. You have to away from the workforce, but immediately don't move it, because he has to give some rest to take care of. That's why they don't move the victim unless there is a immediate danger is there. The situation has come, he has to give the first aid, we will give the all first aid methods. But if any danger is there, we have to move it. But danger is not there, don't move the victim. We have to give some rest to him and keep the fresh air to taken care of by the victim. The victim is in water or near a fire, use non-conductive objective and to move them away from the edge. Very important. The definitely electricity will lose the water. Definitely it will attract the water also. We have to be near the water is there. We have to see that there should not be wet conditions. Can be electrical shock, can be a traumatic for the victim and witnesses. So offer emotional support. Here we have to see that that victim is not supposed to be any emotional trauma is there. We have to give some the what we call the words in a way. He has to be very brave to nothing to happen. Like these words will be used to the victimized. These are the display seen in so many organizations. Electrical shock like this. What are the steps to be taken care of? And these are the displays in many transformer rooms. I have seen this also. It's very good practice and good culture also. Electrical shock, where the all small, even small organizations also, even red category or yellow category or green category, but there's even small private industries also, the electrical shock display, I found it in electrical transformers rooms. And next one is the capacity and protection of conductors, joints, and connections means cutting of power. See, normally we know that the conductors, welding machines having the joints, many joints is there. We have to see that also, apart from the safety precaution. When discussing the capacity and protection of conductors, joints, connection means cutting of power. It refers means to the electrical consideration of the ensuring conductors, that is wires, can handle the intended current flow, properly connecting them at joints with appropriate protection methods, and having a reliable way to quickly disconnect power in case of fault or maintenance needs. Here in the sense what he is telling this, though the having the joints are there, but in joints also we have to be correct methods of jointing, having the what is called the tape jointing, and having the what is called correct joining, not to the two wires as combined or three wires as combined. You have to separately insulated and separately taped where the joints is coming. Flow properly connect them joints. That's what it's calling current flow is there. Properly connecting them at joints with appropriate protection methods. So if anything is there, if unprotected is there, definitely we cannot have a save the people also, and having a reliable way to immediately where the production methods are there, definitely disconnection is very easy also. The protection is not healthy, the disconnecting power is also very difficult. That's why where the joints is there, protection methods to be employed, then only we have a quickly disconnect the power in case of power fault or maintenance concern. That means the where the joint is there, proper joints to be taken care of. Actually, the 100% joints will not be allowed, but in some places the joints to be compulsory to be occurred for small things also, but proper appropriate methods to be taken care of. Key points here with this regard, what are the key points here is capacity of conductors, protection of conductors, joints and connections, and the means of cutting power. These are the key points to taken care of the where the joints are there. The capacity of conductors also we have to see. This refers to the maximum current of conductor can safely carry out without overheating based on its size and material. Where the high voltage is there, we are not supposed to allow any joints in that. Even if we allow the joints, we have to see the capacity of conductors. Can be any electrical leakage is there. Can capacity of conductors can be taken care of or withholding the capacity of conductors or not? Or the capacity of conductors withhold the electrical leakage are there, high voltage and high current is there. We have to see that these are the one of the key point based on should not be overheating based on its size and materials. The capacity of conductors also we have to note down before going to the taken care of. And protection of the conductors, not only capacity of conductors, protection. How best we can use the electrical fuses, circuit breakers, earth leakage circuit interrupters, and what we call this ALCAs or electrical circuit breakers like this are used to protect conductors from excessive current by automatically cutting up power in case of overload or fault. It's very important. Not only see that the capacity of conductors, but withholds the capacity of conductors based on the size and material, but also the production. Protection is very important. Whether the circuit is providing the safe fuses or not, the circuit breakers are there, electrical circuit breakers, ELCBs are there or not, the earthing is properly connected or not, earth leakage, anything is there. That means earth leakage, circuit interrupters, ELCAs are there. Therefore, we will get some indications there is some leakage is there to protect immediately. That is also to be seen protection of the conductors. Where the joints and connections is also important, where you have discussed here appropriate protection methods. Where the multiple conductors are joined together, proper conductor means here wires only. It doesn't mean that it is conductor and all. Where the multiple conductors are joined together, proper techniques like crimping, soldering, and compression fittings, and must be used to ensure a secure, reliable connection, preventing the potential sparks and overheating. That's what here is telling. Appropriate protection methods means this one. Definitely the proper taping is there, proper joint is there, and see that the all the three wires should not be mixed together or connected what is called very safely, and see that the joints and connections where the place is there, that where that place is very keen observation is there before starting the work. Especially in organizations, I have seen the welding machines having the wire, always more joints is there. Even in shutdowns also, I've seen some of the welding machines wires and all the electrical wires, the transferring from welding machine to the source to the receiver, where the in the floor also water vents are there, is not supposed to be allowed. Means of cutting up power. The circuit is having the internally disconnect the power immediately. That circuit, that facility is also to be have in the circuit facility also. This refers to the switch or isolation device used to intentionally disconnect the power to a circuit or equipment, allowing for safe maintenance and repair. Because one apart from the switch electrical isolator, but in the nearby isolator device is there, where the immediately we have to emergency switch is there, we have to cut off power immediately nearby employees where the work is going on. These are the key points to be taken care of: capacity of conductor, protection of the conductor, joints and connections, means of the cutting of power, where the facility should be have. Important factors to consider here is wire gauge, also wire thickness, we can say. Insulation type is also very, whether the, because of the electrical energy, definitely the heat is generated. With that heat generation, the tape is, suppose melted, the insulation tape is not properly selected. That's why we have to see that insulation type also. Termination methods, where the source and the receiver, that means equipment. The source means a power supply. Here the path is also, yesterday we have discussed the receiver, path, and the source is also important. Source, path, and receiver. These things also very important. That's why it is called termination methods. Switchgear design is also there. Immediately where the electrical panel, when immediately the switchgear is there, immediately shut off the power for all the circuits. Switchgear design is also to be provided for the immediate circuit breakers or this. And example of this, the important factors, wire gauge. Choosing the correct wire, the gauge thickness, that means gauge means thickness, is based on the current requirement to prevent the overhead. Normally, the Electrical Act 2003 says about you have to properly select as per the expertise, as per the manual of the electrical equipment. You have to see that selection of the wire gauge is also important depending upon the requirement to prevent the overheating, because that if the thickness is less, if the electrical high voltage is there, definitely getting heated, thereby melted also will be taken care of. That's why the wire gauge selection is also important. Insulation tape, as I told you, where the heat is generated, insulation should not be melted. Selecting the appropriate insulation material for the voltage and environment. Environment in sense of the summer, not only the sun's heat is there due to radiation and all, but also due to the circuit high voltage, inherent heat is generated. At the type the insulation tape where the joints are there, it will be taken care of. Otherwise, the selection of insulation tape, we need to revisit it for the any occurring is there with respect to insulation tape. And coming to the termination, source, path, and receiver. Proper termination techniques at connection points to ensure secure contact and prevent loose connection. Normally, where the source is there, definitely instead of 3-pin, the organization providing the 2-pin plug, or the switch is off, but unplug the what is called the plug. Therefore, plug is also to be removed immediately. A plug is also removed after the switch connection is also taken out. Normally, we have as isolator is off in position, but definitely normally all the employees what we are doing in the workman, the red button will be switched off. Okay, green is on, red is definitely the switch off. Very good. Even after the red push button already operated, immediately isolator is also to be